right, Ramblers, hey, welcome back to my Disappearing Scunthorpe, part 2. Thank you for your support and feedback and comments on part 1. Yeah, it's not often I get a review saying not enough swearing. That tickled old Ernie, that one did. But yeah, good crack, wasn't it? So, same day today, I'm ploughing through. A little bit tired, to be honest, but I've enjoyed the writing process and keeping the old, the grey matter ticking over, which is very important when you're 56. Anyway, you beautiful, middle-aged, memory lane dwellers, where are we off to in this episode? There's plenty to go at, let's be honest. So, I'm around 16 years old now, and I've already been left school for about a year at this point, because I kind of learned everything, to be honest, and I hated every second of school. Top, middle, bottom. Infants, juniors, comp. Yeah. None of that. What do they call it now? Secondary and high. No! No! Top, middle, bottom. Done. So I got the powers that be asked me to leave a tad earlier than expected, or probably, in hindsight, legally required. But they said, get out, Baxter. And I think it was to let the other kids catch up to my level of savvy without enforced distractions from, to be honest, I were a bit of a bugger at school. Yeah, them 2 days I was there, I was problematic. So, there you go. And got a job. The world's my oyster. Oh, and I was ready to get some fishing done. In fact, I was borderline trawling. Just give me it all. Whatever it was, I'll do it. I'll try it. I'll take it. It was just great. It was great. You know, it was a time that was very, very different to now. I'd hate to be a kid now. All the problems they've got. Sod that. No. Gimme growing up in the late 70s and through the 80s every day of the week. You know what I mean? They didn't even have tags on clothes in Foster's or Burton's. It was a doddle. Anyway, so continuing with the it is a faint linear theme, let's be quite honest. We're going to go back and visit some more proper community-based haunts that have all gone. So, cast your minds back to 1984. And due to the decline of Scunthorpe Baths Hall, Scunny, yeah, got a much-needed new all-singing and dancing leisure centre. Opened by none other than our adopted son, Kevin Keegan. Yeah, March 1984. The leisure centre was opened to a princely sum of £3.5 million, which was a fair old fee back in 84. Yeah, and it was billed. Somebody's been paid to write this shite. Back in the day, not this shite, I'm not getting paid to write this shite, but I have done. But back in the day, somebody came up with slogans. I mean, everything's slogans now and logos. And the slogan was, every day is a holiday. Well, funnily enough, it was for me, because like I said, I'd been kicked out of school, so it was brilliant. But I think they were a bit up themselves with that slogan. Every day's a holiday. Well, it is at a leisure centre unless you say you can't swim or dance or play squash or you've got some kind of freaky allergy against chlorine. But other than that, It was gleaming, and it was ours. It was Scunny's Leisure Centre. So to get to the leisure centre, you had to walk across. There was a couple of entrances, but the main one was at the back of the bus station. Remember the bus station from part 1? Harold? Anyway, let's not go back there. No, not till later. So yeah, you went across a see-through glass walkway, which was astonishing in itself, because you'd only ever seen bridges that were enclosed, you know what I mean? And when you got there, it was like shiny. It was ace, honestly. I probably haven't used that word since then, but it was ace. And once you were in, it had a wave machine. Wow, there weren't many of them in the country at the time. And the wave machine was preceded by a siren to much excitement. To be honest, looking back, it was a bit shite. It had a flume that went outside the building, spiralled back in the building, and into the plunge pool. Yeah, it had a cafe. It had bars. It had, and I would buy this if I saw this in a charity shop or somewhere. It had about a 3-foot plastic frog, big wide mouth plastic frog that you put rubbish in, and it was like, bizarrely, it gave you a sense of fun whilst at the same time keeping Scunthorpe tidy. So yeah, I think excuse me, I think we should bring back the wide mouth frog bins. But it was just a great place, particularly as well. If you knew, you knew. There was a concrete staircase at the back, which was quite enclosed. Not a lot of people knew about it, so it was a great place to go do stuff. If you're with me. Of course you're with me, you filthy animals. But yeah, sadly, as with all the other stuff, it got demolished in 2011, which the general consensus says it was uncalled for, but council saying it was financially unviable to, not financially viable to plough more into it. So they replaced it with the pods that are on Ashville Road. That's Scunny's Leisure Centre now. But I don't know whether it's like a generational thing. Having been to both, the pods don't quite cut it. It's too clinical, and although, you know, the Leisure Centre was shiny, the pods are too clinical and a bit more enclosed. There seemed a lot more space there. Just don't have the same vibe. I don't know. It could be just a generational thing, like I say. And now, I walked past it yesterday, it's been replaced by an engineering college, which is great for the students of Scunthorpe, the next generation of Britain's future. So yeah, they get to go there for 3 years before they eventually get a job at B&M stacking shelves in the next car park. So, you know, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah, it's something to aim for. So, let's quickly go back a few years prior to that to Scunthorpe's outside Lido. Yes! I mean, just the word Lido, it kind of, it conjures up imagery of like a, I don't know, a beautiful lady in Hawaii with a grass skirt on, assing about, you know, showing off with a hula hoop. Yeah, you know, under a beautiful sky. But no, hold that thought for a minute. This was it. Lido Paddling Pool Park, or Senny Park as we called it. It was a varied tiered, concrete-based, verruca-riddled puddle of strangely coloured, not quite fresh, but always freezing cold water. It was horrible, but it was brilliant and horrible at the same time. Most of this stuff there was symmetry about it. As bad as it was, I think so fondly of it all. It was wrong in so many ways, but it's just a fascinating, great place to grow up. I can still feel now, stubbing my big toe getting out. Oh, on them concrete edges. Oh, that's smarting, I'll tell you. But you get scunny on a sunny day, yeah? And that gaff was chock-a-block. And if that hasn't scarred you already, that you've got a verruca, you've twatted your foot on the way out, you think, how can I just scar myself a little more and try and bring on advanced breathing difficulties? Oh, what's that there? Oh, only an industrial steamroller. Wow! What a death trap. Did a bit of research on it, and because it had come out of production, so they painted it and did whatever, but they forgot that the steamrollers had a massive engine where all of the coke and the coal used to go in, and they were lined with asbestos, which they forgot to take out. Oh, brilliant! Yeah, classic. I think when the penny dropped some years later, they kind of just took it away and said, "Oh, it's done its day." So you've got through the lino, you've got through steamroller. The one that was the worst out of the lot at Senny Park for me, Paddling Pool Park, was it was an instrument of torture, and it was like a 4 or 5 seater rocking horse with cast iron seats and handles on it. It was horrible. If you didn't get splinters in your ass, you banged your elbow getting off or whatever. Yeah, not for me, that thing. It was just wrong in every way. And I think that went, I think they deemed that more dangerous than the asbestos-riddled steamroller. Good old council. But, you know, fond memories of Senny Park, especially the bird aviary and the tropical plant hothouse. That was a cracking little place. Again, another little find. Another little find. When you were searching for places to get out of the way and maybe do stuff. You know what I'm saying, you filthy animals. Or it might just be have a tab out the way of the wet, you know what I mean? So that was the hothouse, and God, it was always scorcho in there. It was a cracking place, and the bird aviary was brilliant as well. I still like bird watching to this day. Aldborough Flats, get down there with your binoculars. It's a cracking place. More about that later. But I'm spitting feathers a bit. I could do with a drink. Shall we go mucky pub? Come on, let's go mucky pub. Where do you start? Back in a sec. Right, clacker's been refreshed. So yeah, where do you start on the alehouses that really stood out for me and made massive impressions on me? I'm going to narrow it down to just a few more episodes down the line. I'll come to the clubs and some other places that featured latterly. But they're just not there. They are not there. All of my favourite places gone, and they didn't do it just to have a go at me, I'm sure. So, I'd left Winterton and I'd come to live at my mum's because I come from a broken home. Whatever. So, my first proper local at an age where I could go out, you could go out and get a drink at 14, 15 if you wanted, you know what I mean? They weren't asked. So I came back to Westcliff to my mum's. Westcliff, if you remember from part 1, that's where the poets, the artists, the dreamers live. That's the place, yeah. And the local boozer there it's quite an intimidating name. I saw this when I visited Scotland recently. Some of the pubs are quite masculine names and quite confrontational, like the Anvil, the Sword, and the Split in Half Lion. And my local was the Desert Rat. Yeah, great name. I think there are only 2 pubs that's ever been called the Desert Rat. In honour, it was opened in 1968 by the John Smith's Brewery, which was tip top, Magna Ale. And it was named after the famous 7th Armoured Division of the British Army. Yeah. Salute you, sirs. And it was ace. Oh, God, I'm loving being in the 80s. I'm going to bring ace back. Better than banging, isn't it? You know what I mean? And it was ace. If you weren't from Westcliff, it had a bad reputation, but it was a local. And if you were a dick looking for bother, you were all right. If you was looking for bother, there was quite a few people who would honour your request and send you packing. But it was packed with characters. People like Mick Hicks. Mick Hicks, yeah. His party trick was to, he liked to turn the pool table over on its end and flip it over just for shits and giggles. Or maybe he lost at pool. I don't know, you didn't stick around to ask him why he was so tetchy. And there was a wonderful, wonderful couple of elderly ladies that spring to mind. Nothing to do with liver and onions, no, these were just gems. Both of them worked there. There was Sheila, and it was a friend of mine, Gran, and there was Mavis. Oh, Mavis was amazing. She was just an absolute legend. You don't get characters like that anymore. Can you imagine a granny now in a pub whose party trick would be to pull her skirt up nearly above her head, showing her knickers off. But it was in a gleeful way, in a joyous way. It wasn't like in a derogatory, odd way. Look at me knickers. No, Mavis was ace. Every Sunday, Mavis's frock was up. It just had, it's that word again, it had great community spirit. It had great vodka as well, which was a bonus. And it had John Smith's, which that bitter to me was like nectar. I could not get enough of it. I vaguely remember, there's probably a reason why I vaguely remember it. John Smith did a promotion night, probably about 84, maybe 82, 84, something like that. And they did, I think it was 40 pence a pint for about a week. Oh, that was a long week. That was a long week, was that, yeah. But once you got drunk, it was good, because on your way home you used to do a couple of sheds and saw the fruits of your pilfering the next morning. It was the 80s, it happened, don't judge me. We had nothing. But my first ever solo gig was at the Desert Rat. Get this. It was in 1994. It was a Sunday night. Mavis had her best drawers on. So 1994, how much do you think I got paid for a Sunday night in 1994 as a solo gig? How much? No. It was £120. let me put that into perspective. For 2 years leading up to me going solo, I'd played with a pro band in Cleethorpes at the Beachcomber, and I did 6 nights a week for about, it was a long old season now, it was about 8 or 9 months. It was one of the longest in the country at the time. And I got paid £200 for 6 nights. And then they go let me do half a night for 120 quid. It was a no-brainer. And I was made up. I loved it. Loved it. Sunday night at the Rat. And I've still got many friends from my days back in Wesey. Still see them regular. And we all share the same sentiment when it comes to the Desert Rat. And whilst we're on that particular area, I could go 2 ways from my mum's house. I could go straight up through the middle of the closes, or you went through the precinct. And the precinct, I've got to give a quick nod of appreciation. It was splendid. It was rugged. It was tired. It was concrete. But it had a co-op, it had a chippy, it had 4 Boys paper shop, it had Lingard's push buy shop, I think it was, and it'd mend any other shite made out of metal that you cared to take in. It had Sanjay's laundrette, to name but a few. It had 3 telephone boxes that you used to put money in, and you found out that if you got a little bottle jack, you used to be able to open up and all the money would fall out. So somebody told me. But yeah, we spent many hours, weeks anyway, all just arsing about, you know, wasting time. But none of it was wasted. You know, it was top notch until the authorities and the powers that be decided that they would install, because you kind of hung around a couple of particular areas, and it wasn't hugely populated by houses. It was on the peripheral at either end, but they said that it was getting problematic, that we were in large groups or whatever. So they installed a high-pitched, I get this right, it was a high-pitched automated noise that emitted this particular frequency that only young people can hear. So if it was me now walking past, I won't hear shit, but the kids would be going, "Ah!" And I think it was called the mosquito or something. Horrible thing. Honestly, you just couldn't be there. So they were basically the early incarnations of crowd control. Yeah, that was the Big Brother fun sponge, right at you, there and then. And that was back end of 80s. Man alive. Right, all this pub talk's getting me spitting feathers again. And the next stop is, without doubt, my favourite. Absolute my favourite. So we're going to go grab a quick slurp and I'll be straight back. No, don't switch off. Don't switch off, because my time span's different to yours. All right, it'll be 3, 2, 1. Back in shed. See you in a mo. 3, 2, 1. Back in the room. Or should I say, the 3 words that meant more to me for about probably a 10-year period than any I love you. The 3 words that meant more to me. The Lincoln Imp. Oh yes. For me, by far the best pub in Scunny. For loads of reasons. The beer garden, your mates, not a lot of females to ruin it on any given night. Just the odd one. And there were a few odd ones. But you just ignored them, or a few of me mates and that married them. Weirdos. For a while. You knew who I'm talking about. So above everything that the Imp had to offer. It was the music scene that did it. It set it apart from every other boozer in that particular time frame. Visiting acts from everywhere. It was a cracking place. And the cracking there was sharp. It was cutting. It was vicious, but not in a vitriolic way, not in a nasty way. You just have a bit about you and chuck it back at them, you know what I mean? It was like verbal tennis. It was brilliant. If it was nowadays, they'd be chucking some tablets down the neck or something and having a little bit of a cry. Yeah. Or getting you arrested for a Facebook comment. But no, not back then. No, it was survival of the fittest. Yeah. Live by, die by the sword. You know what I mean? It's how it should be. Bring back bullying. But regardless of what night you went in, it was always busy. And some of my best friendships that I still hold dear to me were formed in that pub around them lot at that time. It was just fantastic. It really was. So if it wasn't for the Imp, I think it's fair to say, due to the music scene, I probably wouldn't have been doing what I've been doing for the last 35 years or whatever. No. So I'll tell you all about it. Grab a drink, get comfy. So round about the late 80s, I'd say. Yeah, mid to late 80s, I guess. It was coming up to the end of the local football season. So we needed something to do during the summer. Keep the gang together, you know what I mean? But it was more so we could spend more time in the pub, to be honest, because we loved the place. It was amazing. So, because we're all into the music, one of us, I can't remember who it was, said, let's start a band. Yeah, cracking idea. Let's start a band. So, that was the life-changing moment for me. I can pinpoint it to that exact statement. Because up until that point, I was well on course to become Scunthorpe's next high street tramp. Yeah, which is a position I'm still not ruling out at this point. But it set me on a different path. Yeah, I didn't have a lot going for me at that time. So they were all sat. My brother, Colin, he'd been in a few bands, so he played adequate guitar. Sorted, we've got a guitarist. Andy Pez Perry. That sounds like somebody out of Slipknot or something. It was only Pez because it's Perry. Yeah, there's no cool thing about it. Pez had been in a punk band a few years before, so he said, oh, I've got my drums in my dad's attic. Yeah, because we all do that, don't we? So that was it. We've got guitarist, we've got drummer. Now, Paul Flash Stevenson, who's just left the Crown in Ashby, and good luck to you, Flash, whatever comes up next, mate. Flash come out with the immortal statement, I'll learn bass. Not like I got a bass and I play bass. No, I haven't got a bass, I'll get one and I'll learn it. And I just thought, well, if you're taking the piss, I'll be the singer then. Because somebody told me I could sing at Derby's Glass because we used to wear the Sony Walkmans on and I'd sing the words out to Neil Diamond's The Jazz Singer. Somebody said, got a great voice on you. I said, whatever. So I says, Flash, if you're doing that, we're taking the piss. I'm a singer. But to be fair, Flash came from a very musical family locally. His dad, John, guitarist of note, John Stevenson. His uncle, Raving Rupert, the longest serving Elvis tribute. He's been impersonating Elvis longer than Elvis lived, which is a weird stat, isn't it? Doesn't sit well, that one. It's not right. And Rupert's wife, Flash's auntie, Maureen in the Freeways. Very, very musical family. So that was it. We were sorted. And what we had to do now was learn songs that meant something to us. We weren't in it for singing popular shite. We wanted to play what we wanted to play. So it was like Big Country, Stiff Little Fingers, The Clash, Elvis, and weirdly enough at the time, Bruce Willis. That shows you the time frame there. And we practiced in the cellar at the Lincoln Imp, which doubled up, believe it or not, as a full-size training for boxing with a ring and everything, punch bags, the lot. So we went downstairs for 6 months, nearly every night of the week, and it was ace. It was fantastic. And they kept the beer down there. So our first gig, the poster went up, pressure was on, and Flash's granddad gave us the band name, and we were called the Ham Shanks. Yeah, you would think, oh, them lot must have sat around and had a meeting about that. No, it was already on the poster, and I went, that's us. Brilliant, that'll do then. So we tied our debut gig in with the day that Lincoln Imp, who we all played for, cup final against the high-flying Ashville, and they were clearly favourites. So long story short, Lincoln Imp won, Ashville lost, one almighty party, and our stage wear for the evening was full football kit, minus obviously the boots. But I stood on a stage which was basically a carpeted pallet. And I stood on a stage for 3 hours and I shook like a shitty dog. But I was hooked from that point. Yeah, absolutely buzzed. It was amazing. The place was rocking. That was it. That was my future. That was my moment. This is my moment. Shut up, Martin. So that was it. The Ham Shanks and the Lincoln Imp were a marriage for a good few years at that point. We were the big draw, you know what I mean? A very, very special time indeed that was. It was fantastic. It was ace. On a very sorry note, I went there yesterday. The Imp's been boarded up for a while now with the threat of imminent demolition, to be replaced by probably a frozen food shop or a Tesco Express, which Scunthorpe hasn't got enough either of, has it? No. Yeah, in spite of various petitions as well. Sad, sad, but hey, that's life, I guess. Move on, Baxter. Alrighty, let's go get some fresh air. So I mentioned the local football scene there. And by far the largest area in Scunthorpe for recreational purposes at weekends, excuse me, was Ashville. Yeah, which is now a retail park with a nature reserve on the back of it. More about that later. But in my time, Ashville had, I think it had 14 pitches. Originally, the Scunthorpe Stags used to do the speedway in the corner as well, before they moved. And the pitches were unofficially categorised by the standard of the team you played for. I say unofficially, but I don't think it was a coincidence that generally every Sunday I made my way to pitch 14. Yeah. Which was... It was quite a short-lived career, because I was a bit of a potty mouth. Yeah. I just didn't agree. It was offside. I still maintain that to this day. Signed eye for life. I pointed it out to the referee, the error of his ways. I might have kicked him. I don't know. In the heat of the moment, the red mist comes down, doesn't it? But anyway, pitch number 14, Baxter. Crack on. So I got to the stage every week, knowing Sunday was coming. I'm going to go and pitch bloody 14, and it was miles away. So rather than like my mate on the Saturday, do you want a lift in the morning to the mat? No, I'll make my own way there, cheers. So I used to borrow, me passion wagon. Oh, the lasses flock to me. Imagine it. I'll show you a picture in a bit of something similar. So yeah, knowing I've got to either trudge miles down to pitch 14 while my mate's on pitch number 1, old Chinner. Yeah, and Chinner wasn't even that good either. No, he was just one of them faces that fitted. Yeah, I was a better footballer than you, Chinner. Yeah, I've got better hair at the minute. But anyway, shut up. So I used to borrow my mum's Honda Melody. Ooh, the Yellow Peril. I even used to go to JJ's nightclub on it and leave 4 hours later, leathered. It didn't matter. The police knew he was steaming. They could not be arsed with the paperwork. Even with a half-face helmet on. 2 in the morning in December. So I'd jump on the bike, and it had 2 things going for it, the Honda Melody. Well, 3 things. 1, you didn't have to walk. 2, it had a basket on the front. 3, it had a top box on the back. Yeah. All very important because if I could get through even to half time without getting sent off for a bit of gobshite, I did like to have a can or a bottle. It was even been known to have a little bit of wine at half time. So I used to put them in the top box, and I could put the match ball in the basket. So you know, I was quite a commodity for Santon FC. Oh, and the changing rooms. There was changing rooms everywhere. Obviously, you're going to have 28 teams. That's a lot of bodies, isn't it? If every pitch is taken. And if you close your eyes, there's certain aromas like grass cuttings, tarmac. Bizarrely, gymnasiums used to smell odd as well. And it doesn't matter which changing room you were in at Ashville, they had 2 distinct aromas. Wintergreen and arse. I can still smell it now. Yeah. Wintergreen and arse. But there was so many leagues back then. I think at its height we must have had 8 to 10 leagues on a Saturday and maybe similar on a Sunday. There was maybe even more, I don't know. But it was thriving. It was fantastic. It's looking at it recently, obviously it's not there, but there are other communal pitches. And I think there's maybe 3 leagues or 2 on a Saturday. That is staggering. Because they'd rather piss about and play FIFA rather than get out amongst it or pop a cap in somebody's ass on Call of Duty, whatever that is. I don't know. I'm an adult. I don't play kids' games. Just tell you what, put your Xbox down, get a wash, get out and get some fresh air. Yeah. This happened for 3 years, and it was remarkable in hindsight to say, you know, the council had put that up, took that down, took that away, put that up, didn't like that, let's change that, no, you're not having that. And then they give us 3 free music concerts at Ashville in close season. So yeah, and they were proper large-scale events for Scunny as well. The first coming in 1984 and the last in 1987. And some notable names performed over them 3 years. Let me run them by you, because some of these were huge to say they came to Scunny on a freebie. They weren't on a freebie, but it was a free concert. So your notable names were, the headline on the first year was the March Violets. Yeah, me neither. Ta-da! The Geisha Girls. Local Heroes, Harry the Spider's Coming Out Party. They were well popular at the time. The Pogues, the Boomtown Rats. It Bites with Calling All the Heroes. Captain Sensible and the House Martins. These were big names. Still are, some of them. and all presided over by Scunthorpe's John Peel, yeah, the legend that was, and still is, Steve Bird. Steve Bird, I salute you, sir. Oh, great times and a great place. And the only thing it's got going for it now is pretty much the nature reserve at the back. That's a cracking place, and that has been looked after and maintained really well. So that's a proper credit to Scunny, that place is. Or is it Ashby though? Don't know if you're going to argue the toss about it. So we've covered quite a bit there. There's still loads more pubs and clubs to come, but I'm going to leave it there for part 2. But fear ye not, I will be back, because we've not even been to Yag House yet. Yag House uptown, Yag House down Wesey. I haven't been to either of them yet. No. We haven't been to Henry's or JJ's or Scene 3. No. We haven't been to my favourite after the Imp. I had a few years going to this. I'd nearly dropped the F-bomb, didn't I? But it was kin amazing. A place called Jensen's. I think it was originally Bluebell, latterly Dr. Watson's and some other malarkey. But Jensen's back in the day, just for Saturday and Monday, because Monday night was 2 strippers for £1 in the back room. They were a bit ropey, I'll be honest, but you got what you paid for, which was crabs mainly. Yeah, they used to come round the pub, shellfish and shit, shellfish. Hey up, mate. You got crabs. Well, what was that all about? A bloke with a tray of fish on a Saturday night in the pub in Pickwick's. Just run that by me again. Do I want some uncooked fish? I'm all right, mate. Cheers. So we'll get back to that. We haven't even been to Presto's or Leo's. No. Or Talk of the Town, the shop on the side of the market where you could buy anything that you didn't know that you didn't want. Or even, I mentioned to my mate earlier, Indigo was at the top of town, a shop that was the only place in Scunny you could get jumbo cords. Unfortunately, one of my good mates still to this day, Gaz Blackburn, he was Saturday lad there, so I used to get him on the sly cheap. Or free. Yeah, I don't think they were free. I think they might have been stolen. Don't know. But I'm thoroughly enjoying this. This is very good for the grey matter, which you do need to keep ticking over in the winter months. You can't just sit in and stare at cack on the telly. No, that's our lass's job. I don't watch a lot of telly, no. So please again, if you do get the chance, it's not difficult. Just press subscribe. The amount of people who don't know how to do it's the simplest thing you can do. It's free, don't cost you out, and you might learn something. Alright, so it's like win-win, innit? What's not to like? So, cheers again, and see you back here with me for part 3. Alrighty? Laters. Ta-da!